What's
I
a
like a smaller
smaller
MLS.
board?
Let's rotate.
A smaller MLS. See what happens in a seller's market when things are on fire, it's very attractive to folks to get into the business. So the size of our board, meaning the size of the association, so it's the Greater Antelope Valley Association of Realtors or the Ridgecrest Area Association of Realtors, those numbers grow because as folks get into the business. When the market goes into a transition, what happens?
The realtor goes in that position.
We lose folks, right? Because it's a transition and they're not prepped for it.
No.
That's why you're here. Yeah? Are you with me? Are you taking a deep breath yet of relief? Lower production and or volume and fewer leads. So how many of these marks did our market here in the AV hit?
All of them.
Yes.
Did we hit all of them? So what's that tell us?
We shifted that.
Right? We're in a transition. We're in a transition. Gary Keller wrote a book called Shift. That's what brings us here today. There are 12 tactics in the Shift book. I highly recommend that you get the book and you read it in its entirety. It's a great read. It's a fast read. We don't have time to go through all 12 tactics, unfortunately, today. This is like a month-long course. So we spliced it and diced it and bring to you in 2 hours a very microwaved version of what I think are the most prudent topics that you're facing today in this market. Does this make sense?
Yes.
So don't ignore the other. You want to stay ahead, right? You want to be behind the curve or ahead the curve? Ahead. Right? So just because we're not talking about stellar staging strategies and lead captures and convert doesn't mean that it's not vital to the future success. Because it's coming. It's coming. Right? Matter of fact, by this time next year, you'll probably begin to see some distressed properties. It'll be a while, but they're coming. It's inevitable. It is what it is. I want to share with you a quote. Average is doing what you want to do. Success is doing what you must. I want you to think about that for a minute.
Let's get out of bed this morning.
What happens? What happens when we live our life doing what we want? My 15-year-old daughter, she's 16 now. My 16-year-old daughter lives by the adage of, I don't want to. I want to do what I want to do. Right? Yeah, right. So I'm constantly having the conversation, okay, well, what would that look like if we didn't make you go to school?
Brush your teeth.
And we didn't make you brush your teeth. Right? You didn't do the things that you must. What would end up happening to all of us? Right? We only did what we wanted to do every day. How long would that last?
Not long. Or it could last really long, you just get nowhere.
With a really bad breath.
Really bad breath. And what we would end up doing, right? Wouldn't we end up having to do what we must?
Yeah, you will.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, most definitely.
Think about that.
Wasting my time.
But if I do what I must, can eventually I do what I want?
Yes.
Isn't that how that works?
Yes.
Right? So average is doing, you see this, right? People struggle. Don't be one of these humans. You're going to see me referring back to this quite a bit today. Because we must, if we're going to do what we want. Right? By the way, Zoomland. I see like 2 people. Let's turn some cameras on. Let's be engaged. This is your business, folks. Yeah? Hello in Zoomland. John, it's good to see you. Right? Let's put on. Hey Beth, how's it going? You came. Hey, so put on your cameras and let's have some interaction. Okay, I'm just gonna call on you if I don't. I'm just gonna force it out of you. So mindset. Mindset is 90% of our success. I stole that quote, by the way. That's not Drew's quote, but the guy who originated that quote is Tony Robbins, and he says 80% of our success is our mindset. I changed it to 90% because I feel like really, if I just put 10% of action when I'm set on my mind straight, what happens? In anything you do, a sport, a game, work, a relationship perhaps. Oh, snap, I got some of you. How's the relationships going? Are we 90%? Yeah, this is not a counseling session. It's okay, you can stop moving around in your chair. I'm not gonna go there with you. But really, like, sometimes the thing that's holding you back is all in your head, right? 90% of your success is gonna be about mindset. We've gotta get in the proper frame of mind if we are going to outwit, outlast, and outpace this market, right? We've got a bunch of competitors out there. Volume is coming down, number of listings increasing, number of sales decreasing. By the way, the motivated are going away. How many of you have been in the business less than 3 years? Okay, so this really affects you the most because you haven't seen a market like this before. You haven't experienced a client that is unmotivated yet. I mean, you may think you have, but you haven't until you hit this market that we're entering right now. Anybody had a client reach out to them and things are going good and you're having a great conversation and the next thing you know they ghost you? This happened to you? Welcome. So we got to get in the right frame of mind. We're going to go through tactics today to discern the motivated. Would you like to know if you can identify if somebody's motivated or not? And whether or not you're going to spend your hard-earned time, your time, right? The most valuable thing that you possess is your time. So how's your market?
Great, how's yours? What market?
I love this question because this is usually what happens. What's the right answer? Right? They don't know what the right answer is. So how's the market?
Well, it all depends.
The market
Are you
is
looking to
what the
buy,
market
sell, or
does.
invest in?
It all depends. It depends. Who are you right now?
What part of the fence?
How's your market if you're a seller?
What part of the fence you want to be?
Great. Fantastic.
Great. Is it as good as it was 6 months ago or a year ago?
Sure.
No.
Sign here.
I'll give you on the market.
Sure, sign here.
I will sell it.
Right? It may not be quite as good as it was 6 months or a year ago. Is it still a seller's market?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Every time we take this away, it makes it so it can't. So here's the deal. People always need to buy or sell, right? Markets always shift over time. It's cyclical in nature. It's part of it. Embrace it. Change brings opportunity, folks. Don't get stuck where you're comfortable. This is how we do it, right? In fact, I'm here to share with you that since I have been through 3 of these shifts, I can share that the promised land is right on the other side, and it's glorious. And here's what I mean. You actually entered the market at the worst time. You don't know it, but you did. Right? It's the hardest time to get in the market when you're in a heavy seller's market. The skill set is completely different, right? How easy is it to obtain a listing in a seller's market?
Blink your eyes.
Blink your eyes. How many offers are you writing for every buyer you've got?
All of them.
All of them, right? And what do you have to do? You have to like promise the listing agent that you'll wash their truck for 2 weeks, and you have to, right, the buyer's gonna come and cut the seller's grass at the new house for 2 months. You're coming up, I'll buy Netflix for a year. You're coming up with all these creative things so you can get your deal done and get your buyer into the house, right? Well, I'm here to share with you that in the market that we're headed, it actually is better.
That's good news.
What would it look like if you were out showing properties to a buyer and they actually had, I don't know, a couple of hours to consider it?
Or weeks.
What if you were decided to take a day to go to the beach, or maybe you went to the movie, and you could do that without missing out on $7,500 in commission because you weren't there to answer your phone at that exact moment that that house came up for sale. When the markets, when the pace of the market slows down, it brings clarity in the marketplace. Does this make sense? Allowing you the opportunity to actually do business the way that you ought to be doing business.
Less emotion.
Less emotion, less scarcity, less of the I've got to just get it no matter what type of deal. Right? It's much, much better, easier to make money actually. More opportunity exists for more folks. And there's less of you.
Competition.
How about them apples? There's less of you. Right? So that even helps the
The pool.
the pool better, that much more, right? So let's talk about supply and demand. How do we know what market that we're in? Like what okay, you say there's a seller's market, but what makes you actually say that?
Under 5
Low
months
inventory.
inventory.
Huh?
The
Low
absorption
inventory.
rate.
Low inventory, but how do you know if there's low inventory? I mean, there's, what, 1,000 houses on the market?
5 months and under.
Absorption rate.
Absorption rate.
What's the absorption rate?
How many houses we sell in a month, how much supply is on how much is in the
How
MLS?
long it's gonna take for all the homes to sell if nothing else came on?
Yeah, if nothing else came on the market, how long would it take us to burn through the current inventory? That's called the absorption rate. Supply and demand, right? When demand exceeds supply, what happens to the prices? They go up, right? We're seeing this all over in every industry, are we not? We're seeing this, if you go buy a used car, how's that working?
Really good for the dealers.
Really good for, well, they're actually in the same boat, because they're having to pay more for the car to get it to sell you. Right? That's all part of the deal. In fact, I sold my mom's car for her recently. It was a 2014 Ford Fusion with 24,000 miles on it. She paid $18,000 originally. We got $17,500 for it.
Negotiations there.
Right? Here's what I'm talking about. It's like this all over the board. When supply is low and demand is high, the prices go up. But when supply exceeds demand, what happens?
Price go
The
down.
prices go down. So how do we know what market, how do we know which market we're in? We have a seller's market. If you have anything less than 5 months of inventory, you heard Brandon say that like 2 or 3 times up here, right? So the reality is, I like to look at this more like 4 months. Because it goes to 5 so fast. So when you hit 4, you know you're coming out of a seller's market, like we're on the way. Anything within the 3 range is solid. And then by the time you get to 4, you're on your way out.
Okay.
And it goes to 5 so dang quick, you makes your head spin, right? So a balanced market is anything 5-6 months-ish. Absorption rate being 5-6 months. Are you with me?
Yes.
You following me, right? And then a buyer's market is anything greater than that. Right? And then that's no fun either, because now we've got the opposite that's happening. Now buyers are being greedy and thinking they can get whatever they want and do whatever they want. Right? It's no better than what we've got and what we've been dealing with now. Life's a lot better when you've got the same number of homes that you've got for the same number of buyers, and you can just put people together all day long. Matchmaking, baby. Matchmaking, except for houses instead of relationships, because we don't do any good at the people part of it, so let's do better at the houses. Right? Doesn't that sound better?
Yeah.
All right. The market determines your success. Do you believe it? I hear people say and have for years, well, I don't know, the market's down. Can you make money in a down market?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's where the money's made.
That's where the money is made, ladies and gentlemen, cars. That's where the money is actually made. Are there folks still out there selling in a down market making 6 figures?
Yeah.
And has there been? There is, right? It's a myth. It's a myth. The truth is, that's actually where the opportunity sits, is in the shift, in the transition, or in the change-up, if you will, right? I'm sorry, I have to keep bringing people in. Zoomland, put your videos on. Come on. I must be a little
Look at that.
older now than I was, because the last time I was in here, I could actually see the names on the back screen.
Just blame it on the cameras are changed.
Yeah, the cameras have all changed. The TV's resolution has gotten different. I can't.
They got a smaller TV.
Yeah.
Screen is smaller.
It's cool.
In up markets, proactive and reactive lead gen both work. And we're gonna go over sort of the difference in a minute, but in a down market, the only thing that's gonna work is the proactive lead generation. Let that sink in for a minute.
That makes sense.
In an up
Them
market,
calls, baby.
when we call up market, we call a seller's market, by the way. But that's what we're referring to when we say up market. And then in the down market is on the way down. You gotta be proactive, right? So what are buyers and sellers thinking? Let's start with sellers. What are sellers thinking right now in the transition?
My home is worth more than it is.
My home is worth more than it is. Do you find that the sellers are having a difficult time keeping up with reality?
Yeah.
My neighbor sold theirs for $1 million,
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
and they don't have a GQ.
Yeah, they live in San Diego. Right? What else? What else are sellers thinking?
But this market's gonna last forever.
That this market's gonna last forever.
It never goes down.
Never goes down.
They're gonna get money.
I'll wait another year to make another 50.
We're gonna get multiple offers.
Right.
If we hold out, we'll get more money.
Yeah.
Don't have to do anything.
It's all my
Put
agent's
price
fault.
high.
Price high, so that we can come down if we need to.
Yeah.
We don't have multiple offers because your video.
Yeah,
Nothing to do with
we don't
the
have
market.
multiple offers because you spelled the word, in the MLS, you misspelled a word, and you're not doing enough marketing.
An overpriced house, I had a person tell me the other day, she's like, my agent, she's like, I think I'm gonna cancel, and it's like, it's $899,000, it's been on the market for 35 days.
Yeah, the day's
Yeah.
market.
Right.
Give him a break, like,
35 days for $8.99.
Yeah.
Way
she
too long.
wanted to cancel.
5 days.
Way too long.
5 days.
I can't believe that you didn't get it sold in 90 minutes.
It was
This is
an
ridiculous.
escrow already, and it fell out, but
Already an escrow and fell
Probably
away.
valid.
Let's see. Gee, I wonder why it fell out of escrow. Right? So the seller is gonna take a while to catch up to reality. They're still gonna be believing that we're in the past. It's gonna be our job, by the way, to do what? To educate them and move them through. What is your one thing as a realtor? Do you know?
Education.
What's your one thing as a,
Uh,
not your one job description, what's your one thing as a realtor?
Relationship.
Influence.
Take the
Take
clients
people
where
from
they
where
are.
they are, where they want to be, through their own fears and objections.
Brando gets a gold star. To take people from where they are to where they want to be through their own fears and objections. If you master that, everything else falls into place, yeah?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Somebody wants to buy, but they've got all these fears, right? In fact, let's talk about that. What are some of the buyer beliefs?
interest rates are too high.
Too competitive, market's too high,
It's gonna crash.
Yeah,
it's
market's
gonna crash.
Yeah. I'll wait until the
They'll get a
prices
better
go down.
deal.
I'll wait till the prices go down.
But the interest rate we're gonna be going up more.
Interest rates, right, they're gonna go, their interest rates are going up, right? So
So they're gonna get.
it's our
less.
job to take those buyers and those sellers, right? So a seller wants to sell and a buyer wants to buy.
Yeah.
Our one thing is to take that buyer and that seller from where they are to where they want to be through those fears and objections to get them to the other side. So they don't trip up over themselves, right?
Yes.
Yeah, do you subscribe to this?
Yeah.
Or do you have commission breath?
I subscribe and share.
That's that whole not brushing your teeth gig. That's what it smells like when you don't brush your teeth and you get the. No, commission breath is when you're in it for the money. and not getting the folks from where they are to where they want to be through their own fears and objections. When you get concerned with your own paycheck over and above what is good for the client and what's good for their needs, that's commission breath. You focus on the commission, your deals are going to fall apart, you're going to be beating your head up against the wall, you're going to be frustrated, it's going to suck. Focus on taking the client from where they are to where they want to be through their own fears and objections. It makes life a whole lot easier. Your focus changes. Do you see that? So as the buyer is having these beliefs about the market, right? You're able to then educate them. We're going to talk a little bit about the things that we're going to say and how we're going to phrase those things, called the language of sales. We're going to get into the language of sales in a little bit, right? Where's the opportunity lie in a slowing market? So right now, all of you should be engaged in your number one job description, which is what?
Lead generation.
Lead generation.
Yes.
Right, your number one job description is?
Lead generation.
On Zoom, unmute yourself. What's your number one job description?
Lead generation.
Thank you. Thank you. Gold star for Suhaili and Scott. Hey, I saw your names. I'm so proud of myself. I made out the symbols on Suhaili and then I can see Scott's face. There you go. Right? Lead generation is your number one job description. So whatever you've been engaged in right now has brought you a result, yes?
Right.
Are you happy with that result?
More. Not really.
Not really? Okay, there's
I'm
somebody
happy.
being honest. Who said
I said
No.
that? 3 of you said it.
I'm happy but not satisfied.
Happy but not satisfied.
Okay, no.
Half happy.
So, half happy. Okay, so if we're being real with ourselves, can you really be half happy though? Like,
Like, I'm not depressed.
I'm not depressed. That's the new baseline. everybody. Next is set the baseline. We're not depressed. We're doing good.
Just I'm not on medication yet.
Just confused, right? No. So, if you're not happy with where you are now with the activity that you've been engaged in, I'm here to tell you it's not going to get better. I know I'm speaking a message of hope today, I know, right?
It's gonna get way better.
Right? It doesn't get better. In fact, you're going to have to double your efforts just to maintain what you're doing now.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, pretty much. It happens. Forrest Gump will tell you. Right, it happens. You gotta double your effort just to maintain where you are. So what if you wanna grow your business?
You have to triple.
You're gonna have to
4x.
work 2.5, 3 times, right? You're gonna have to do much, much more if you wanna grow your business. So what's that gonna look like for some of you?
And so that's saying like if we have like a certain number of contacts that we have to make a certain day, that we have to double.
If you're doing 5 contacts a day and you are
You have to do 50.
not depressed about it with your result, right? If you're making 5 contacts a day and you're not depressed, we decided that's our baseline, right? Then that means we're gonna have to do 10 to maintain the same result, which means we're gonna probably have to do 15 or 20 contacts if we actually want to see growth in our business. Here's the good news, however, I will share with you. That growth, I would submit you will see a greater growth in the upcoming market when you double down, 2.5 to 3 times. When you do that, the amount of growth would be greater than that same application applied in this market. Does that make sense?
I'm fired up.
The opportunity is actually better.
Let's go.
So I'm bringing you the bad news,
Quick, find the good news.
but there is good news.
Do you have any more bad news?
I probably do have some more bad news today, right? This is not for the faint of heart, but I want to ask you: are we compensated at a pretty good rate would you consider?
Not enough.
Not enough. Brandon wants more.
I sound say yes.
Well, maybe you should go do something to bring more value.
I'm more value.
8%.
Hey,
Just add a percent.
Yeah, add a percent. Instead of putting 6 on the contract, just put 7, no big deal.
just add a one.
That's right, that's right. How do I what?
How do you do 15 a day?
How do you do 15 a day?
Yes.
Just talk 15.
How do you do 15 a day?
I'm trouble doing 5.
Okay, we're gonna get there when we talk about lead gen here in just a moment.
Like
I'm glad you asked that question.
More coffee.
More coffee. The opportunity, more coffee. Right? You're gonna have to 2.5, 3 times your efforts if you wanna grow your business, and the opportunity is also greater. That's the message that I wanna send.
Right.
It's not for the faint of heart. This is the greatest industry on the planet. What other industry can we get into where we can go out and mingle with folks?
Right.
Help them get over their own fears and objections to get to where they want to go and make 6 figures at the same time. Be able to pick our kids up from school, be able to make it to the baseball game, be able to go to the movies and see Top Gun in the middle of the day with our, right? What other industry on the planet provides this for us? So, there you go.
What did he say?
Kettle corn. Scott Miller sells kettle corn. Well, he used to. Now he sells houses, but he used to sell. He traded kettle corn in for houses.
You got somebody in the waiting room.
I have somebody in the, you know what? The waiting
They can
room.
stay there. They're late.
You're late.
Maybe that's why, because he was waiting for you to.
I've been waiting.
I've been accepted all day long.
It's funny.
You were doing a back contract first.
We're just gonna back up. Yeah, we're running your credit before we go. All right, mastering your skills. What does it take to master your skills? Do you know?
Practice.
Practice,
Education.
repetition, education,
Show up.
showing up. Holy smoking bananas. Who would have ever thought that? Showing up. Those of you that are here today, how many are in the market center? Do you know?
A good amount.
How many agents do we have in the market?
420.
400, over 400 agents. How many are in this class today,
I don't know.
both on Zoom and live and in person? What,
About 40.
50 or something like that, right? Wait, I gotta add another one, make 51. Okay, so we have 50, so what's that percentage?
Very small.
That's not even a
How
quarter.
many folks are out there not getting this information? Being oblivious to the market, ignoring the indicators,
It's okay. They can leave the business.
right? It's okay, they can leave the business, Brandon says. Well, they're probably going to, right? A vast majority of them anyway. And so this is a whole job.
Watching, Top Gun.
Where I have to admit people. Alright? So we also, I heard you say show up, and I heard you say education, and but I didn't hear one thing.
Legion.
Legion.
3 hours a day.
3 hours a day, in fact. 3 hours a day of legion, right, is how you master your skills. How do you know, by the way, oops, how do you know if you've mastered your skills, by the way?
Your conversion ratios.
You can track your numbers.
Keep track of your numbers, you find out in the results, right? You find out in the results. Take a look at your bank account. Right? Take a look at your bank account.
I gotta tell
Dude, aren't we kind of like doctors? We're always practicing. Are we ever going to master them completely?
There you go. We're always practicing. You know what, Scott? That's a great point. You know, doctors practice real estate. Doctors practice medicine.
Oh, hey,
We back up a
hey,
second.
Patients are real estate.
Patients are. You know what? This is true because some doctors do practice real estate. Doctors practice medicine. Lawyers practice law. Realtors practice real estate. Yeah?
Yeah.
It's an ongoing, all the time practice. It doesn't matter how long you've been in the business, right? I've been in the business 22 years. Am I still practicing?
Yes.
Am I still going to educational events?
Yes.
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 Absolutely, 100%, right? Was I able just to bring this information to you today without reviewing anything? I can just show up on the scene and here we go. What does the slide say?
It's only 100 days a week.
That's your superpower.
That's how I
though.
do it.
That's the superpower, right? I have to be educated at 22 after 22 years. It doesn't matter, 22, 25, 30, 35, 40 years. It doesn't matter. We can always be refining and learning new, and the results of mastering our skills over time, right? Will show up. Those results will show up in our bank account.
So Haley,
She's snacking on something.
Can't see, right? And I would also submit that this shows up in all aspects of your life. Have you heard me say, how you do anything
That's how you do everything.
is how you do everything?
How you doing?
Think about that for a minute. Now, all of my naysayers are here going, that's not true.
Say it again.
So there might be an exception to that rule. And how you do anything is how you do everything. So, how does it show up when you're not mastering your skills in real estate? How does it show up in your relationships, in your friendships, other work environments? Everywhere. How does it show up? Is it chaotic? Is it messy? Is it stressful? I just dropped a bomb on you. What's the answer?
Legion.
Legion! What's the answer?
Jesus.
The answer, Jesus, for sure. 100% the answer is Jesus. 100%, yeah. That's the ultimate answer, right? What's the answer? The answer is a life by design, intention. We put intention behind mastering our skills in real estate. And will that transfer over to the rest of your life in other aspects?
Yes.
Won't it? Like, think about that. If you change your habits and you become way more intentional about your everyday habits in real estate, and money begins to, and then you begin to be intentional about how that money is spent and how that money is saved and invested. Do you see now what's happening in your life?
how you're running a business.
Oh my heavens. Are we business owners?
Yes.
Yes.
Are you employees or are you business owners?
Business owners.
If I looked at your bank account, would I know?
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
I know.
Be a great communicator. Seek first. What is seeking first to understand?
What's going on here?
What's going on?
Curiosity.
Right? If I've got a buyer that all of a sudden ghosts me, and then I run into them in the grocery store. And they're trying to run, right, because they see me. They're at Vaughn's and they're running behind the toilet paper, right? And I run around the corner and hey, buddy!
Give my heart a shot.
Right? And I say, hey, what's going on? Are you okay, Bobby? Some of you that are in coaching have heard me do this with you when you run from me. Right? You heard me say, hey, Brandon, are you okay? Is everything all right, buddy? Right? What am I doing right there? I'm seeking to understand. What I'm not doing is saying, Brandon, what the hell, dude? You just leave me hanging? What's going on?
I forgot.
I forgot. Right? But instead, I'm seeking first to understand. I'm asking the question. And then some of y'all need to really pay attention. We listen. Right? Then we listen. And then we validate and understand what they're saying to us. Now, we can do this a lot better if we're studying and practicing our scripts. What's the point of a script?
So you know where you're going.
So you know where you're going, you stay on track, you don't end up in 14 different directions. Today, I have a script, do I not? Now,
Yes.
I'm also very much off the cuff, but I have a script, something's keeping me on the guide. What is it?
Knowledge.
This!
Slide.
It's keeping me on track, right? I have a study plan for today, and I'm keeping on with the study plan. Even though I might veer here and veer there, I get back on track. for the sake of your time. It's the same thing with you and your clients. When you are scripted and you've studied those scripts, how much more effective will you be in your communication with your buyers and your sellers when you know what's coming next?
Yeah, he's got a pen.
Are you with me on that? So I've tried to let them in a couple times and it won't let me.
We're full.
Over the past.
We're not good already.
Sorry, you're late.
Our time is valuable and.
Yeah, right. You're late. Language of sales becomes
Yeah.
critical. What is language of sales?
Influence and
Influence?
market knowledge.
Tell me more about that. Market knowledge? Tell me more.
Oh, about influence. Well, finding the pain points, finding the pleasure points, and bringing people from where they are to where they want to go. Overcoming objections.
I mean, I would say that you're not wrong, but I don't know that the rest of the folks in the room know where you're going with that.
Let me circle around. That sounds like
Is English a language?
I think
Yeah.
you have to.
Is Spanish a language?
Yeah.
Some of us can speak English and Spanish, right? Is French a language? Right? You have all different types of languages. Sales is a language all of its own. So the language of sales says that we must evaluate the message that we are putting out. We analyze the words that are coming out of our mouth to ensure that we're, what Brandon was saying, so that way we ensure that we're getting folks from where they are to where they want to be through their own fears and objections. We're not speaking out of both sides of our mouths. What's that mean?
Contradicting?
It means I'm saying one thing over here, and then I'm also presenting a whole other idea over here. It's a great time to buy. It's always a great time to buy. You're going to want to get in before the interest rates go up, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. Yeah, so I don't know about buying. Yeah, I'm not sure, because prices are coming down, and I don't know what you should do.
Oh, why would you do that?
Some of you are saying, why would you do that? Well, I've heard it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sharing it with you. So the language of sales says that what we do instead is we know where they want to end up. They want to buy a home for their family. Is it always a good time to buy a home for your family?
So you can afford it.
It is always a good time to buy a home for your family. What has real estate done over the last 60 years?
appreciated at 4%.
Appreciated in value. Now, has it had some dips in the interim? Sure.
Opportunity to come back.
And then it's come back and a little more. Think about the last recession that we had. Some of you are too young to even remember. You go back to 2008. When we take this correction, we will not revisit those values. It's never going back where it was.
Darn.
I got into real estate in 2000. At that point in time, in Ridgecrest, the average sales price was $89,000.
That's a lot of money.
Okay, no matter what happens, we're not going back to $89,000 days. So I can sit on the fence as a buyer and say, no, I'm gonna wait. Someday they're getting back to $89,000. You're gonna be waiting a long time. You gotta wait for time to reverse and go back the other direction, right? It's never going back the way it was. So the language of sales says we must, in our interaction with our clients, we need to be so scripted that yes, we can come off of the script for a moment to have that real conversation, but the script keeps us planted in helping them overcome their own fears and objections to get them where they ultimately want to be anyway. Is this making sense?
Yes.
Yes.
How do you not sound phony scripted? For real.
How do you sound, how do you not
sound scripted? Phony scripted.
how do you not sound phony scripted? How do you not sound phony scripted?
Internalize it. Internalize it.
Practice, 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 and then practice some more.
Hey, you guys.
Use a tape recorder in front of the mirror.
What'd you say, Scott?
Use a tape recorder in front of the mirror. And then call your best friend and do the same thing. But use a tape recorder till you don't hear yourself sounding scripted.
That's a great point. That's a great technique. Yes. Get a script partner, right? Ultimately, you want to,
What if you don't have a friend?
they're not- ultimately, you want to internalize. You want to internalize the script.
Yeah, for it.
You want to internalize. What's it mean to internalize versus memorize?
Make it your own.
Competence.
Evaluate.
You make it your own, right? So if I provide you a script, which as you leave here today, you'll leave with a, where's the camera? You'll leave with a script book. But if I give you a script, memorizing it would mean that you read it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again so that it's implanted in your brain, and then you can walk up to somebody and you can go, turn on! Hi, Isabel. My name is Drew. I'm a real estate agent. Do you have a home that you would like to sell? That would be memorization. That's going to sound phony scripted, is it not?
Yes.
But well, how different would it be if I said, hey, Isabel, let me ask you a question. If you had a friend or a family member, I don't know, somebody you went to school with, or you go to work with, you go to church with, you know, do you already have a realtor that you'd refer them to? Does that sound scripted to you?
No, I have a friend.
That's my script. I've been using it for over 20 years. It's mine.
Not anymore.
It's mine. I made it to who I am. Right? My coach. Pause for dramatic effect. My coach. They say you have to say something 8 times before it makes an impression. My coach gave me a script a long, long time ago, and I made it my own. So here I am over 20 years later saying the exact same thing. In fact, teaching others to say the exact same thing, but making it their own. So when you internalize a script, you make it a part of who you are, and you practice it so much that it doesn't matter where you are or what circumstance that you're in, you throw up. It just happens. Well, you don't actually throw up, Isabel. Don't actually throw up on people. For my what's the word? I've lost I'm my dad, by the way. When he turned 45, he started forgetting his words, and I think literal. When you're literal, for my literal people, don't actually throw up on people. Thank you, Bex. Yeah, scratch that off your notes. You're gonna want to do that, right? So you're gonna want to learn the language of sales at a very high level. Now, how could you go about that?
Download the software.
What software?
You gotta get in there.
You gotta download the software into your computer.
YouTube.
Right? Where do you find it?
No, I just want to say if you understand it and you believe it, it's going to be easier to talk about it.
If you understand it and believe it, it's gonna be a lot easier to talk about it.
Yes.
You get the gold star of the day. I love it. Right? Think about that. So how can you make that happen? Do you have control over that?
Yes.
Of course you do. Right? Education, training. As George said earlier, showing up to events like today. Showing up to the team meetings on Thursdays. Are you showing up to the team meeting?
Yes.
Garrett works very hard to bring great content for us here in the Market Center. And if you're not showing up on Thursday morning at 10 o'clock, you are missing out. Right? What is your job description as a realtor? What's number one? Okay, say it like you believe it. People on Zoom, unmute. Ready, unmute. 1, 2, 3. Your number one job description is?
Lead generation.
Lead generation is your number one job description. What's number two?
Communication.
Education.
I don't remember.
Making money.
I don't remember. Bex, this is probably the problem. We need to talk later about coaching. Number 2
We all take
is
after your dad.
writing listing agreements.
Okay. Wait,
What's number 3?
he's so close.
Writing contracts. What's number 4?
Going to the
Checks.
Not yet. We gotta get price reduction. See, you don't know that yet, because you've been in a market that when you list a house for sale, it sells in 2.8 seconds. With 1,200 offers.
No hard conversations.
But as we move forward, your fourth piece, your fourth most important piece of your job description is gonna be getting price reductions. Then, what's the 5th thing? Close and get the check, put the money in the www.bofa.com deal, right? So you can see the result. What's the 6th thing?
Invest.
Make sure to put it into the right account. 30% tax.
Education and training.
Oh.
Education and training, coaching, education and training, coaching, education and training. They say you have to say something 8 times to make an impression. Coaching, training, and education. So as she so graciously talked about earlier, if we truly know something, right? So we can easily then deliver the message to whomever that we're speaking. So if you're not in the room today or on Zoom land today, you should be taking a listing, writing a contract, right? Lead gen, taking a listing, write a contract, getting a price reduction, or closing a deal. That's what you should be doing. Those are the only 5 reasons why you should not be here today. In fact, I would even suggest that if you have a closing, that you could deposit the check after class.
Absolutely.
Some of you maybe can't, because they're gonna come and get the truck if you don't, but a couple of hours, not gonna make the difference, right? The tow truck's probably already on its way anyway. You just might have to wait a couple of hours and get some, so that you not put yourself in that position again to lose the truck, yeah?
Right.
You follow what I'm saying? Hold on, I got the check, I'm going to the bank. Who's gonna be affected by the transition?
Everybody.
We are.
Except me.
Everybody except for Brando. Who's gonna be affected?
Everybody.
Everybody's gonna be affected. The question is, who's gonna come out on the other side? See, the short term is gonna be a little bit rough. But then you get to the other side, it's the promised land. So we must, in a short term, anytime the market's about to shift, we must. I'm gonna remind you of the quote at the beginning, at the top of the hour. Average is doing what we want. Success is doing what we must. So we must cut our expenses. Now is not the time to go out and buy the new truck, in more ways than one. First of all, the car market stinks. Secondly, you should not be taking on any new expenditures. In fact, now's the time to cut the fat.
Big time.
Big time.
Yeah.
You know those subscriptions that you have that you forget about?
Yeah.
The $4.99 and the $8.99 and the $21.99 and the $28.99 for all the things that you don't use but you forget about? So I had one recently. This is how this shows up. See if this is, maybe this is only Drew, and you guys are all immune to this. I had a $21, I follow a guy, and some of you maybe heard of him, his name is Mike with Autovlog. So he buys cars and then he evaluates the cars, and I'm a car guy, so I subscribe to that's $21 a year to listen to Mike yak about cars. No big deal, right? I can afford $21 a year. So I recently received a refund for $21 on my annual subscription. So I emailed, Mike, why did I get a refund? What's going on? He writes back, Drew, the channel's not been live for 4 months. But Let me put my tail between my legs.
Oh
Yeah, I haven't had the bandwidth to go on and watch for 4 months, so I didn't even hear the final deal where he's like, yeah, we're not gonna do the website anymore, strictly YouTube, no, all of that. I missed it, I paid him anyway, he's a good guy, he gave me my money back, I don't even know, because I haven't even paid attention. How many of those subscriptions do you have? There was a study done several years ago, I think about 10 years ago now, that said that $50 a month was the benchmark. If a company can get you to sign up for something at a $50 a month or less subscription, you'll stay with them forever. Because it's just at that benchmark where you really don't feel it. It might be annoying, like you see it on your banks. You guys don't look at your bank statements, you look at your phones. Right? So you look at your phone and you're like, dang it, I gotta get rid of that. I gotta get rid of that whatever it might be, right?
Yep.
Some of you all have Disney Plus and you don't use it.
That was a
Get rid of it. We don't want to support that company anyway.
That's right.
Get rid of it.
Yep.
Mandalorian's coming back out.
Yeah, you know what? I forget which crowd I'm talking to sometimes, so if I offended you, I don't care. All right, we've got an upshifter, Allegiant. The 80s, don't be a part of the 87%. What's the 87%? Anybody who's been in a career night where I've spoken, you know about the 87%. What is it?
87% of people don't make it past the first 2 years.
87% of the folks getting their license do not make it the first 2 years in the business.
Wow.
Did you hear that, Zoomland?
Yes.
Thank you, Scott.
Yes.
87% of the agents getting into the business do not make it past year 2.
That makes sense.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Don't be part of the 87%. You need to outwit, outplay, and outlast. You need to find the motivated and identify your sources for lead gen. Yes? So lead gen, 2 aspects to lead generation. There's prospecting and there's marketing. You can have direct response or indirect response with either one of these. What's the difference between marketing and prospecting?
Marketing is passive, prospecting is proactive.
Correct. Marketing is passive, prospecting is proactive. Right? Marketing is what the car dealerships do. You know, you get the thing from the Nissan dealer here at the AV car mall thing, just to send you the thing in the mail with the key. And you go down to the dealership to put the key to see if it opens so that you can win either the car or other great prizes.
It's like a sticky hand. And then they got you.
Yeah, and then they've got you, right?
Signing the
Matter of fact,
contract.
I fell trapped to that. I was like, Jamie, let's go down. Everybody gets a prize.
And you
You
bought
go
a
down
car.
there and you spend 35 minutes of your life for a $5 Starbucks card, because that's what everybody gets, right?
It's so worth it.
That's marketing. So worth it. Because I can't buy my own coffee. Marketing brings long-term results passively, and it usually costs money.
Right.
The prospecting piece is proactive, right? It's more time intensive rather than money intensive, and it also therefore brings you more immediate results. So here's the clue. Are you ready for this? Do you have your pen out and your paper in Zoomland? You've got your keyboard ready, and you're ready to write this down. Here is the clue, the key. Be prospecting based, but marketing enhanced.
That's good.
Be prospecting based, but marketing enhanced. What's it mean to be prospecting? Let's break this down. What's it mean to be prospecting based, but marketing enhanced?
It's like door knocking and then do follow-up.
You can prospect.
So door knocking, that would be prospecting.
Prospecting is.
How could we market enhance that?
You know,
Would that be sending the mailer and asking, did you get my
your
mail?
automation.
So sending a mailer and then coming by and going, hi, Alex. Hey, Drew Hawkins here with KW. I sent you a mailer a couple of weeks ago in the mail. I just wanted to make sure that you got it.
Well, what about sending a thank you card or something for?
A thank you card after you've had a great interaction with someone. A handwritten, by the way. Don't be lazy. A handwritten personal note. Don't print it on the computer. Actually handwrite it. Flyers. Right? Yeah, I gotta walk back there to see what they're saying. Right? Flyers, so we want to be. You'll get old too. So, by the way, I'm not old. I'm still 28. My vision's going for some reason. I have a 46-year-old vision at 28 years old. Who would have thought? I went and got my hair cut yesterday, and I told the lady, "Isn't it weird to have so much gray for a 25-year-old?" She didn't buy it. She didn't even laugh. Kept on going. We want to be prospecting based, but marketing enhanced. How do we master lead gen?
Just do it.
Do it. Study, practice, and put time on task. Systematize everything. Systematize everything. If you have a system for something, how much more likely are you to complete it?
A little bit more.
Think about something else in your life that is systematized.
Waking up out of bed.
Give me something.
Waking up and brushing your teeth.
Taking the kids to school.
Waking up and brushing your teeth is more of a routine. Because there's no real system that makes me put my hand on the toothbrush, you know, right? It's just, right? But yeah, taking the kids to school, right? There's a system for that.
Yes.
In order to take my kids to school, I gotta get them there at 8:30, because if I get there at 8:50, they're gonna get in trouble. Right? And then I got to account for the traffic and the line to get in the school to make sure that I could actually get a spot when they're younger to drop them off, right? There's a system around that. I have to. There's no choice in the matter. A workout routine. You have a system around that. I mean, I don't, obviously.
Oh, stop it.
But some of you do, right? If you have a workout routine, do you follow a system for that?
Yes.
Or is it just, you show up one day and go, that looks good, I'll do that one today. No, you have a system around it, right? You systematize everything. The 36-12-3 describes the 3-hour habit. What's the 3-hour habit?
Lead gen.
Lead generating 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. Some of you have not heard of the 36-12-3. That's the old Ignite, for those of you that didn't know. 36 transactions in 12 months with 3 hours of lead generation a day. That's what that stands for. There's a reason why it's called the 3-hour habit. If it was a 2-hour habit, then what would we be advocating?
For 32 transactions.
We'd be advocating the 2-hour habit. If it was a 90-minute habit.
Yeah.
If it was the 25-minute habit. Right? Do we advocate the 3-hour habit just because Gary Keller picked 3 hours out of his hat? It's PG-13. He picked it out of his hat and said,
This works.
3! That sounds like a great idea. No, Gary Keller interviewed top real estate agents around the country for years and developed the model. 3 hours a day. Convert the leads. Follow up on everything. Follow up on everything. Tiffany gets a gold star. Follow up on everything. So there are agents, by the way, low producing agents who sit in the office and wait for the top producers to not follow up on something so that the crumb will fall off the desk and onto the floor so that they can come and pick up the crumb and take it across the finish line. I'm not saying that to offend you. I'm saying that to be real with you. Don't be that low producing agent. Do not sit around passively and wait for the crumbs to fall off the producing agent's table so you can pick it up off the ground. Be proactive, have a system, and go out and get the crumbs yourself. Well, not the crumbs. Get the whole donut. It doesn't have to be a donut. I guess it could be a turkey sandwich, or whatever. Go get the whole thing yourself. This is where a script would be handy. Right? Go out and get the whole thing yourself. Is this making sense?
Yes.
Passive is not for real estate, especially where we're headed. You want to be proactive in all that you do. For 30 minutes to 1 hour every day, you're going to study the industry in your local market. You need to know the number of homes sold, the number of homes that have come on the market, the absorption rate, which we just discussed earlier. What's the absorption rate?
1.63 months.
Number,
Right now, it's 1.63 months, but what is the absorption rate?
Supply and demand.
How many homes on the market will leave if nothing else?
How long it takes to sell?
If we didn't put any homes on the market, how fast would we run out of homes?
There you go, right? So, if nothing else was listed for sale, we would exhaust the number of listings currently on the market. That's the absorption rate. Yes, ma'am.
How do you find that?
How do you find the absorption rate?
Get one.
bar sheet, on the bar sheet.
On Flex MLS.
And the
If you go on Flex MLS and you go to the to where they have all those graphs, just scroll down on the homepage. Scroll down a little bit and there'll be a graph for absorption rate. And it will tell you. Right there, right? That's the easy way to do it. But if you really want to know how to do it, go into the MLS and do a search on how many houses are currently available and how many have sold in the last 90 days. You take a 90-day average, right? How many houses sell per month? How many houses do I have on the market? That tells me how long it's going to take me to get through the inventory that I currently have, right? So if I have 100 houses for sale
Good indicator.
and 50 sell every single month, how many houses, what's my absorption rate?
2 months.
2 months, right? I have 100 houses for sale, 50 sell every month. What's my absorption rate? 2 months. It's gonna take me 2 months to burn through those 100 houses. Right? Make sense? Okay? That is gonna be vital for where you're headed. When you're talking with buyers and sellers, this is the information you're gonna need to know. And it's at your fingertips. So even if you're brand spanking new into business, you have access to this. There's no excuse. So I know a lot of new folks are worried, right? What if I don't know enough? I don't feel like I have enough knowledge. What if they ask me a question that I don't have the answer to? You have the answers. It's in the MLS. If you just study it day in and day out, you'll have the information to pass on to your clients. Average number of days on market, the average sales price. Keep in tune with the average interest rates. If I still do business with a lender who sends me the rates every single morning. I just got mine today.
Me too.
Me too.
We all use the same guy, right? If you don't have that lender, talk to the lender and say, hey, keep me apprised. This way, when you're talking with your buyers, you know about what the rate ought to be.
That's good.
Yeah.
Is this making sense? You don't have to be the lender and like know it exactly to the T,
Right.
but at least be in the ball game.
Right.
Because by the way, ladies and gentlemen, we have 7 more bumps in interest rates by the end of the year.
And they're gonna change fast.
So you're gonna want to be on top of that. If your person got pre-qualified 60 days ago, that pre-qual is no good today. Interest rates have gone up, and they may not qualify. Yeah? Practice brings you confidence, excitement, and a desire to have the conversation and make the presentations to your buyers and sellers. Where could you get scripts?
YouTube.
On KW Connect. By the way, you can get them on YouTube. I would recommend not. Let me just say, I would recommend not. YouTube is a great resource for a lot of things. I learned how to winterize my RV using YouTube because I live in the desert where we don't have to winterize anything, and I moved to North Idaho where you have to winterize everything. And I went on YouTube and I found a great 4-minute video that taught me how to winterize my RV in just 2 short days. Well, that should have been 2 hours, but California. Scripts is not one of those things. How do you know that the person who's giving you the script on YouTube actually has had success with whatever script they're giving?
No.
It might sound great to you.
Because they said they did.
Because they said it. Mr. Excellent says that he's so great at everything.
I love Mr. Excellent. He's a nice guy.
He's a nice guy.
He doesn't even say.
I have no idea what his success rate is. I don't know that I would listen to that, right? Keller Williams has provided for you scripts that do work because they've been industry tested by our own. So you've got KW Connect, you have Ignite, you have Bold. If you've ever attended Bold, you have those scripts. You also have the Locker Room scripts. Some of you may not have heard of the Locker Room. What's the Locker Room?
What?
It's a coaching platform for real estate agents. It's where I am certified to coach. Your market center at the Keller Williams Antelope Valley pays to belong to the Locker Room for your benefit. Did you know that? So you have access to certain things. That's what part of the reason I'm here. Script Simplified book. This is a script book that 50 coaches got together in the locker room and took all the scripts that were from all the different companies, and we condensed them over a weekend and put them into a book for you. If you're in the room today, you're going to walk out with one of these.
Nice, free stuff.
Wow, right?
That's good.
You're gonna hand deliver it to Rich Chris, right?
I'm going to drive up and hand it right to your desk there, Scott.
You can get them on Amazon.
Get it on Amazon. No, you can't get it on Amazon. If you're on Zoom land, you need to email the front desk, and Armando will email you a copy. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, cool. All right. When will you practice your scripts?
Now.
Every day.
Right
Who
now.
will you practice with?
Samir,
I gotta find some friends.
tape recorder.
A tape recorder. So here's the deal. That's a great. In fact, my coach, when I first got in the business, my coach encouraged us to go into our voicemail and leave ourselves a voicemail with whatever script it might be. Yeah. And so that works great up to a certain point. But at some point in time, you've got to have face-to-face time. So that it can be more genuine and more real. Who can you practice on? Right? Other real estate agents, of course, but who else? So, you know what? It's a great thing to practice with your friends. What happens when you practice with somebody that's close to you like that?
Somebody.
And laugh at you.
First of all, they're gonna laugh at you. First of all, they're gonna be honest with you. And secondly, they're getting to know what you do.
Right.
And now it's front of mind because they're actually working with you and helping you. What if you did a listing presentation with your friend? Who
It's
owns
not
it?
in real estate.
Who's not in real estate? Now they know what you offer, what you do, and it's front of mind so that when you've practiced it, so when you go live and in person to a stranger's house, you're more refined because you've practiced it with somebody that you trusted. And then the person that you trusted now knows how you do business and what you offer, and that you actually have the ability to give a presentation, even if they're critiquing you along the way. They're looking at you through the lens as a real estate agent versus just a friend. Is this making sense?
Yes.
Those are all things that you could be doing to refine your skill set for what's coming. Study the scripts. It's vital. Time on task, 3 hours every single day. You should be focused on lead gen. That time should be time blocked. That's part of systematizing whatever it is that you're doing. Right? Part of the system is time blocking that time and not allowing anything to get in its way. Debbie, I'm coming to you in just a second. Here's the deal. What would your business look like if you treated every appointment in your calendar as if it was $1 million listing appointment?
It would be amazing.
I'd be on time and everything. I'll be late still. Of course, Brandon would.
You be enthusiastic, energetic, you know.
So if you're on your way to $1 million listing appointment, somebody just told me there's too many jokes, by the way.
We need more jokes.
I'm only seeing one joke from where I'm standing. How do you like that one? By the way, my level of, yeah,
You're out.
my level of care is pretty low. So, we're having fun and we're learning too at the same time, right? If you're on $1 million listing appointment, do you take the time? Like if you're at $1 million listing appointment and somebody calls wanting to see a house, do you say, "Oh, Mr. Seller, I gotta go. I know we're right in the middle of this signature thing here, but I gotta go show a house." Or I'm gonna go to the movie. Hey, I know this took a little longer than I thought, Mr. Seller, and I'm late to go see Top Gun.
Understandable.
So I'm gonna run. I'll catch you later. Do we do that? No. We don't. So what if every appointment in your calendar you took it as serious as $1 million listing appointment? How would your business look?
Like $1 million.
Wow.
Like $1 million? Gold star. Like $1 million, right? Like $1 million. Your lead generation time should be no different than if it was $1 million listing appointment, because the reality is it's more important than $1 million listing appointment. It's worth millions and millions of dollars over time. Yeah.
But you gotta learn how to work it.
And we don't skip it. If you have to, you replace it. Right? Your son wakes up with a sty on his eye and you gotta take him to the urgent care, so you get kind of fumbled up a little bit. Sure, does that stuff happen?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're living life.
Yeah.
And that's all part of life.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Right? It's all part of life. We replace it. Okay, I guess I'm doing my lead gen at 3 in the afternoon instead.
Right.
Okay? Or maybe I'm making up for it on Saturday morning
Right.
instead of watching Saturday morning cartoons. Is that even a thing anymore? Are there still cartoons on Saturday morning? When I was a kid, we used to get up so forward and getting up and watching Saturday morning cartoons. Right? So what do you do in those 3 hours? Well, you're going to be using part of that time to prepare. Then you're going to take action and maintain. The preparation is included in that time. And then you must take the action. Don't spend the whole time in preparation mode. Yes.
Are there better times to lead gen than others?
Are there better times to lead gen?
Just the time you
I would
do
say
it.
yes.
Time you do it.
So, by the way, there's a couple of different schools of thought around this. Typically in the industry, we say do it in the morning. Why do we say do it in the morning?
Get it done with less distractions.
Less distractions usually, and we will get it done if we do it first thing. So if on your calendar you have come in, do a half an hour of script practice and role play, and you're studying the market and you're doing all that for the first little bit, and then you jump into it straight away, and you treat it as if it's $1 million listing appointment, your chances of getting through that activity are much greater. We have found that if you put that bad boy off to the afternoon, that you end up getting busy with other things in life, and it ends up being missed. So that's the reason we say do it in the morning. The reality of the situation is you want to do it when your sphere of influence or the people whom you're contacting are ready to receive you.
Yeah.
Well, we don't really know when that is, like, scientifically. That's more of whatever works for you. I know Brandon used to split it up. I don't know if he still does. Some in the morning and some in Alex Rosales does that. Some in the morning, some in the afternoon. As long as you're sticking to that as your schedule and it's time blocked, and you are, I'm going to use the term, married to it, then I think whatever works, that you're making progress. Right? Does this make sense?
Yes.
The reason we say do it in the morning is because generally it's more successful, because time on task shows us that we're getting the job done over time. Nothing's getting in our way. or less things get in our way. Have a target on your lead gen, right? If you don't have a target, how fun is it? Right? Or even when you play a game, right? You're playing Monopoly. What's the fun part? The goal.
To win.
To own the most properties. Right? That's how you win the game, is you own more real estate. Do you win the game of Monopoly by collecting more money? No, you win the game of Monopoly by owning more property, which in turn brings you more money, which in turn allows you to win the game. So this would be no different. But how do we know if we've won if we don't have a target? If Monopoly we just kept playing and playing and playing and nobody ever won because it just goes on. No, the goal is get the most property, command the most rents. Boom, everybody else is bankrupt. You're the guy standing with all the money. Monopoly. Right? So this would be no different. So keep track of the number of contacts that you make every day, the number of calls, the number of additions to your database, the number of appointments that you have. All vital to your success. Why would that be vital? Why would it be important for you to know?
To know what's working and what's not
Or
working.
to know what's working and what is not working. If you're making 20 contacts a day and selling no houses, what might we look at? Scripts.
Coaching.
Right? We're coaching, getting a coach, right? To help us refine our skill set. It's obviously something we're not saying. Yes? Are you with me? So what are some lead generation sources?
Sphere of influence.
So sphere of influence, a farm, open houses, FSBOs, and expireds. Now, what's a sphere of influence?
People you know.
People who know, like, and trust.
People who know, like, and trust you. Now, come with me if you will. We're driving down a road. It's a small country road in Northern California. You know, farming country. Cruising down the road, and on the right-hand side of the road is a 10-year-old almond farm. On the left-hand side of the road is a vacant lot. Well, vacant land, let's say 10 acres of vacant. It's flat, usable land. This is gonna sound a little silly, but go with me. Which farm is gonna produce fruit quicker? The one on the right or the one on the left? The one on the right. Right? The trees that are already mature and already have almonds growing on them for you to harvest. Are you following me? Here's what most real estate agents do. They go, nice farm. I guess I better go over here and start my farm. And they go till, you gotta till the ground. You gotta put nutrients in the ground if it doesn't have enough. Then you gotta plant the seeds and or the trees or vines or whatever it is that you're gonna grow. Then you gotta nurture and cultivate and wait. How long does it take?
About years.
Well, the average is 3 to 5 years before we're gonna see any fruit. Now, is it important that we don't let this land on the left go to waste?
Yeah.
Right? It's important that we build a farm over there and get that going. But should it be at the cost of the harvest across the street?
No.
No. So I say, earn the right. Earn the right. Earn the right to put your new farm in. Harvest the fruit that's already on the trees. And that, ladies and gentlemen, cars, is your sphere of influence. Your sphere of influence, the people who already know, like, and trust you want to help you. They would rather do business with you than a stranger. Think about this. If you needed a plumber, would you rather just like Google somebody and then take a chance on what they bring? Or would you rather get a referral from your buddy that's used this reputable company 10 times and has good success? What would you rather do?
Referral.
Referral. They want to do business with you. Do you believe that? Two people do. Do you believe that?
Yes.
If you don't, what's stopping you? What's preventing you from believing that the people in your life want to do business with you?
You're drunk monkey.
Perhaps you're a drunk monkey, right? The thing that's in your brain that's telling you,
Yeah.
you can't, you're not worthy, they don't want, whatever that language is that's happening. It doesn't have to be, right? They do want to do business, just like you want to do business with your friends. If your friend opened up a Round Table Pizza, would you go to the one over here, or would you go to theirs?
Yes.
And you might even drive to Lancaster for it. Even if you live right here, right? Because it's your buddy. But you'd have to know that he's got the Round Table Pizza Parlor before you do it. Otherwise, you just go to the close one.
Yeah.
And I recognize that we're not going to Round Table, but I'm just giving that as an example, right? Staying in touch with your sphere of influence I believe, is the greatest time on task move that you as a real estate agent can make. Remind them that you're in real estate. Update them on the market. Stay in touch consistently. Consistently stay in touch. What do you say? I don't know what to say to them. I don't know what to do. Ford. And no, I'm not talking about the greatest truck manufacturer on the planet. I'm referring to Ford, family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. So this helped. Now, by the way, you don't have to use all 4 of these every time you talk to them, right? It's meant to be a guide, a script. Hey, Brando, it's Drew. How you doing? Great, awesome. Hey, how's the family going? Hey, last time we talked, little Tommy was going into a soccer tournament. How'd that work out? Oh, they won. Fantastic. Hey, what'd you guys do to celebrate? Awesome. Hey, listen, Brando, I don't want to take up a ton of your time. I just wanted to reach out and check in with you, let you know. Boom, 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 boom. You see, 3, 4, 5 minutes, you're off the phone. You brought value and contribution. You use this as a guide to walk you through it. Perhaps you knew that there was a job change because you saw it on Facebook. Or because your mutual friend told you about it. Right? You could talk about, hey, how'd the job change go? Are you liking it so far? Right? This offers you an in to be able to go into the conversation. Now, talking to your sphere of influence, in my opinion, as I said before, is the greatest time on task thing you can do. It does not negate the other sources of lead gen that we have. You've got to have more than one. In fact, how many should you have?
All 3.
At least 4.
At least 3. We like to see 4. So again, we're not talking about when you're going down the country road, choosing the almond farm on the right over the land on the left for forever. We're saying, hey, for right now, buckle down and earn the right. So what's that look like? Your 3 hours, you come in at 8:30 and you study the market and you practice your scripts and you rev yourself up and you get ready, and by 9 o'clock you're ready to make your contacts, and you start with your sphere of influence, and you determine by talking with a coach, you determine how many contacts you should have every day to make it through the end of the month with all of your sphere of influence. Yes? Are you following me on how this works? And that's what you do. At 9 o'clock, you start making those contacts every day. Right, Scott? You make those contacts every day. Then, when you're finished with that, you've earned the right to work the farm. You've earned the right to, if your gig is cold calling, if your gig is to have Sync or Boomtown and you want to make cold, that's fine. Earn the right. Pick the harvest and then move across the street and cultivate the land. Are you with me? Calling on the FSBOs, calling on the expireds, right? The open houses, you should be doing that on top of all of it. And now, when I say an open house, how many of us just put like 2 signs up, turn on the lights in the house and sit down at the dining room table or worse on the sofa and just hang out? See, open houses, is it prospecting or is it marketing?
Prospecting. It's actually both.
Yes to both.
It's passive.
Maybe.
Whoa.
I went through more slides than I thought. Let's revisit. Oh my heavens, we're gonna go back to the beginning. Let's revisit the difference between marketing and prospecting. Marketing is what? Passive.
Passive.
Proactive is what?
Prospecting.
I'm going out prospecting, right? I'm going out and making it happen. When I'm sitting in an open house, am I being passive or proactive? I'm being passive. So open houses in their very nature are passive because I'm sitting and I'm waiting for the client to come in the door or drive up. Now, how can I turn that into prospecting?
By making calls or doing something like. Door knock the day before.
Door knock the day before, making the calls, right? Going around, what would it look like if you started your open house a half an hour earlier for all of the neighbors in the neighborhood?
Inviting them.
What would that look like? And you say, hey, so I've got the Thompson's house up for sale, and we've got an open house Saturday from 11 to 1. I'm actually going to open it up at 10:30 for all the neighbors to come because the Thompsons really wanted all the neighbors to be able to come by and see the house. And if you have any other buyers, you get an opportunity to select your new neighbor, right? So we want you to be able to come and see what you might be advocating for, right? So look forward to seeing you at 10:30. We're going to have some popcorn. I'm ready for you at 10:30 in the manana morning, right? That's prospecting with marketing. You're turning a passive activity into proactive activity. But if all you're doing, and by the way, if you're not putting up at least 6 signs for your open house, you're missing the boat.
The open house isn't really to sell the house, it's to get your next listing.
Correct.
So that's a great idea to invite all the neighbors in because you're trying to get a listing. You don't. Buyers are going to come in, whatever.
Buyers
I
are
want
going
my
to
next
come in.
listing.
But this is a great way to pick up listings while you're doing an open house. But what are you showing that seller?
All the things you
I
have
got
to
marketing.
offer.
You're proactive.
I do all the things.
Yeah.
Right? I do all the things. I'm proactive.
So
I'm
you
marketing.
2 signs don't even invite the neighbors.
2
because
signs
they're
don't
gonna
even
be
invite the
like,
neighbors. What am I really doing for them?
Yeah.
Put up 8 signs. I've invited all the neighbors. I've gone on social media. I've got some paid ads on social media. I went live when I showed up to the property. I'm like doing all the things, right? I am appealing to all the senses when I'm in the open house. What does that mean? That means that you're arriving early and you're prepping the house, making sure that the stuff is cleared off the counter, that the blinds are open, that the lights are all on, that cobweb that's wrapped around that ceiling fan, that you've kind of gotten that off, right? And you've got the lighting situation under control and you've got some music going. By the way, don't play rap or anything heavy metal, right? You could do, sorry about that, Ed. But you know.
Well, it depends on what market.
It depends on what side of town you're on, maybe. You know. You have an iPad or something that they can flip through, or if you don't have that technology, maybe you've got some other options of houses that are pre-printed. You know, have something for them to touch, for them to listen to. Make popcorn so they have something they can taste and smell.
Bake cookies.
You can buy a popcorn machine on Amazon for little money. And the seeds go with it, and you put the seed, and now the aroma of popcorn in the house. And I'm here to share with you that very few, because I always get the objection. Why would I want somebody eating popcorn through a $700,000? I'm here to share with you that very rarely does anybody take the popcorn. That's not what it's about.
Just offer it to them when they leave.
Don't get stuck on an escalator,
Yeah.
right? Do it, it works. Are you following me?
Yes.
What are gonna be your 4 methods of lead gen? I'm gonna give you a couple minutes, and then we're gonna share. I want you to think about this today. I want you to leave here today with some kind of a plan. What are the 4 things that you're gonna focus on? There is more than this, by the way. I gave you some options on lead gen. What are you gonna focus on?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
So for example, let's say we're door knocking, but we're door knocking for the open house. Does that just fall underneath the open house category?
Well, that would be prospecting,
Right.
Farming.
right? I would say yes, that falls under the open house category, because I think I know where you're going with that. If you want door knocking to be a part of your lead gen strategy, that falls under farm.
Okay.
Because if you're not door knocking consistently, 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 the same doors over and over and over again, it's a colossal waste of time. I'd rather you go get a pedicure instead. That's not permission, Alex,
Oh,
to go get a pedicure. I'm saying, make sure that you're, right, you can't just knock on the door one time and expect to get a result. You have to dominate that farm. You've got to, that's why I have the word in bold. You've got to dominate that farm. They got to know who you are. Yes, ma'am.
What is FSBO?
FSBO, for sale by
By
owner.
owner, okay.
For sale by owner. Okay. Ramsey's got his.
Too many jokes.
Okay, the too many jokes is about him presenting to his friends. Like they would give too many jokes.
They would give too many jokes when he presents to them.
That's what he never specified.
I thought he was saying you're too funny for us.
Yeah.
He was like, no, I love Drew. I wish I was there.
Oh, yeah, no, sorry.
See, that's a communication issue.
Communication, we're gonna talk about communication here in a second. Do you have your 4?
Yes.
So you need to pick different friends, Ramsey. You need to pick different friends. No, I don't mean like, oh, maybe you do. But I mean, you need to pick different friends that you're practicing with, right? People that are gonna give you the cold, hard truth. So if the people that you hang out with and have brewskis or drewskis with are not able to be serious enough, like break that and go, okay, serious enough to take and give you honest feedback, then find some folks who are willing to do that with you. Okay?
That's kind of what I do for my farm.
That's my feedback for you on that one. All right, give me some examples. What are you willing to do? What are you gonna do?
Call expires.
Say it again.
Call expires.
Call expireds. What else?
Talk about it.
Or not
That's ridiculous.
consistently.
What's social media?
Social media is not on here, but that's valid.
Past investors?
Past investors.
Online leads.
Facebook Visbos.
Facebook FSBOs. What'd you say, Jason?
Online leads.
Online leads.
Poaching
Yes, ma'am.
listings.
4 open houses a month.
Oh, yeah.
Open house and what?
4 open houses a month.
4 open houses a month. You know what I love about that? You get a gold star. What I love about that is that you made it specific. You said, I'm gonna do 4 open houses a month. Is that measurable? One a week, right? Do you have 4?
Yes.
Right now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
4 lead gen methods that you're gonna implement? Do you have it?
Yes.
Okay. How will we know?
Results.
Tracking.
Has
It'll
to be
show up in the results, won't it?
They track it.
Yes.
Here's how else. Right now, I want you to write down the name of an accountability partner. Write down a name of an accountability partner, somebody that you can send this to. And you can use me if you want. In fact, what would that look like?
Coaching.
If you were being held accountable by the coach, then what?
You have to pay the coach.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how much more results would you get?
You'd be able to afford to pay the coach.
What?
I said you'd be able to afford to pay.
You'd be able to afford to pay the coach.
You're a good coach, you know.
You know what, all the good
So write down, do you have an accountability partner?
coach.
Write that name down, and then I want to know that you've done it. Put your hand up in the air if you've done it. You've written down a name. So for those of you that have not written down a name, and you don't have your hand in the air, we're going to wait for you. We got everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In Zoom land, do you have your accountability partner written down? Start putting them in the chat. I want to see your names in the chat of the people that you've chosen to be your accountability partner. Scott, who are you going to use?
Why?
Why?
By the way, I would encourage you not to use a spouse. Because spouses don't hold each other accountable very well. It usually ends up on somebody sleeping on the couch.
Mick and Julie.
Oh, Mick and Julie said, okay, well that might, well, you guys probably ought to have a duel. Okay, but Scott's gonna use Michelle. There's Carol.
Like you haven't met Amy.
Okay. All right, good. All right. So without consistency, none of it matters. You can select lead gen methods, you can write down an accountability partner, and without consistency, none of it's gonna matter. Andrew, did you have a question?
Yeah, so my question was, let's say we want to, one of our methods is farming, right? So we want to door knock our neighborhood. How often do we door knock?
Okay, so if you wanna have a farm, first of all, how do you obtain a farm?
Title.
You wanna go to the title rep, right? Who are you gonna go to?
Right.
Frank Donato.
You're gonna go see Frank? Yes?
Yes.
I don't believe you. We're gonna go see Frank, yes? Okay, so we're gonna go see Frank, right? And Frank is gonna have the technology that's gonna help us discern a farm that makes sense. He's also gonna arm you with tools, with marketing tools, to help you farm that area. Now, here's the deal. If you just take your approach to the farm by walking up and just the first day out, and they don't know who you are, how well do you think you'll be received? So I would suggest introducing yourself to the neighborhood. How could you introduce yourself to the neighborhood?
Say hi.
A good one is, if you
Door
guys go to the
Next
Palmdale meetings,
Yeah.
the city council meetings, it's great to go door knock and tell them like, hey, I'm going to this meeting, what issues are in their neighborhood, how can I help
That's a
you?
great idea.
Yeah.
So that gives you an
It's a good,
excuse.
and then they go, oh yeah, well that street light, it's always broken.
That neighbor.
That's a great idea.
I didn't even go to the.
You could send them a mailer, as somebody said,
Yeah.
right? You could send them a mailer ahead of time. You could do some door tagging.
Yeah.
What's the difference between knocking and tagging?
You leave
Like,
something on the door.
You drop and go, right? So you can, right? And by the way, you can get a vendor partner to help you pay for the cost of that tag, right? So introduce yourself to the marketplace, to the neighborhood marketplace, yeah? And then, before you knock, and then as you're knocking, you're building relationships and are trying, your goal would be to obtain new information, right? You know that. When you're door knocking, it's not to sell a house. You realize this?
Yes.
The purpose of door knocking is prospecting for information and building a relationship that cultivates over time, that builds into a referral. Think about this large scale. Yeah?
Yes.
Are you interested or are you committed?
Committed.
How will we know if you're committed?
Do what we said we're.
Results.
What's the difference between being interested or committed to something?
Committee's not an option.
Doing it when you don't want to.
Consistency.
So, when you're interested in doing something,
You're dating.
you're dating.
Committed, you're married.
You're doing it when it's convenient. When you're committed to something, you accept no excuses, only results.
Woo! Wow.
I'm fired up. Absolutely.
Are you committed or are you interested?
Super fired.
3 people are committed.
Committed!
Are you committed or are you interested? I want the front desk to hear you. Are you committed or interested? There it is.
Fired up.
Get committed. Accept no excuses, only the results. And double down on your efforts and get her done, by golly. You've got to be consistent.
Say it for the people in the
Right?
back.
Now, as we enter this market, I want to switch just a little bit into seller pricing strategies because it's going to get a little different. Right? It's no longer, how much do you want, Mr. Seller? I want $1.4 billion. Okay, perfect. It sells in 3 hours with 12 offers. It's no longer going to be like that. You're actually going to have to be strategic in pricing your homes. Okay? So, big factor, do not ever chase the market. What does it mean to chase the market?
Following it down.
Following it right down. Right? So what's that look like? Let's say that we have a 4-burr, 3-bath. It's an old-fashioned joke. It used to be in the newspapers. A 4-burr, 3-bath, right? We used to call it that. You got a 4-bedroom, 3-bath on the west side. It's 2,850 square feet. Built in 2005. How much is it worth?
$800,000.
560.
That low? 650? Can we agree on 650 or no?
$5.99.
$599. Okay, fine. We're at $599. Okay. So $599,000 should be the price. Okay? We listed at $625.
Nope. Amen.
We listed at $625, and then tomorrow, a competitor's house comes on the market, right? A neighbor around the corner listed theirs for $589.
Price reduction $400.
Now, the seller tells you, let's sit on it for a couple weeks though and just see, because we've had a couple of showings.
No.
Now you're gonna reduce it to $599. Uh-oh, wait a second, what just happened? Now $599 is no longer any good. So now you're gonna reduce it to $589, but now you're 30 days in. And 2 more properties came up for sale for $585 and $590. And now where are you? Now you're still sitting too high, because now you're stale on the market.
They just listed $5.99 a month ago. didn't they?
If they'd have listed $599 originally, they'd have been sold in the first month and gotten more money.
Yes.
Don't chase the market. The more educated you are on the market, the more you can educate your sellers into pricing the home correctly from the beginning and getting the right price. Are you with me?
Yes.
So, having this information to educate your sellers and set those expectations are vital. As a part of that expectations meeting with your seller, it's vital that you share with them the 3 things that sell real estate. What are the 3 things that sell real estate?
Price,
Cheaters. Yeah. Price, condition, and location. Right? Price, condition, and location. How many of those 3 things do we have control over?
Price.
What?
Price and
Price.
Price and condition. Right? Like, we could go to our seller and say, seller, it's time for us to stretch the carpet in the master bedroom and paint little Tommy's room, get rid of the orange and paint it a neutral color. Right? We probably ought to go ahead and fix the fascia on the front of the house, prop the gate back up. Right? Like, let's work on some of the condition, right? And let's get right with our pricing. We can't do anything about the location.
Right.
So, if we're not gonna do anything about the condition and we can't do anything about the location, what would we do?
Price.
The only thing we have left is price. Can't tell you in 20 years how many hundreds of agents have come to me and said, my house is just sitting and I don't know why. So what do you think my first response is?
What's the price?
Price. Price is the thing. That's it, baby. How do we know how much something is worth?
What's
With the market.
What next door sold for?
What somebody is willing to pay for it. Cash. What somebody is willing to pay for it. That's how we know how much something is worth. It doesn't matter how much you want for it. Hell, I want Ford stock to be selling at 50 bucks a share again. But it isn't. It's at 13 something today. But I want it to be at 50. Oh, okay, who cares? I want my house to be worth $800,000. Okay. Yeah, so does everybody else. It's worth 6. Get over it. You want to sell it at 6 today or $550 next month? You decide. Is it worth $50,000 to be stubborn?
No.
You also must offer a phenomenal customer experience. What's that look like? What is the #1 complaint from clients around the country to the National Association of Realtors? Mike?
Communication.
Communication. Nobody talked, my agent didn't talk to me after we went into contract.
Couldn't get a hold of them.
I could never get a hold of them.
They don't answer their phone.
They don't answer their phone. So here's the deal, you must manage, right? Let's visit the top of the hour. Average is doing what you want to do. Success is doing what you must. You must set expectations with all of your clients, both sellers and buyers, right? The seller expectation is, I'm going to reach out to you at least twice a week. And when there is any update to provide in the middle of all of that as well. But for sure, you're gonna hear from me on Monday and Friday. If you call me, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if you call me and I'm in another appointment and it goes to the voicemail, please do leave me a voicemail or send me a text. And when I'm finished with that, I'll be sure and call you back. You can expect a response usually within 3 hours. Now, if you're setting that expectation, what do you think they're gonna expect? So how mad can they be if they call you and you don't answer?
Can't be that mad.
Right? Now, I would submit, and I've had people that say, that's not good enough for me. Okay, I'm not the realtor for you. Go get somebody that you want to be a servant to you. That's fine. You can go get a gopher or somebody that's just gonna run around like a chicken with their head cut off for you. That's not a true professional. I'm sure you can find that. Good luck. Not for me. We're not gonna work well together. You'd be surprised at how you control the situation when you do that. All of a sudden you end up with, no, Drew, no, come on.
Takeaway.
It's good. Take 4 hours if you need to. It turns it around. Right? Set that expectation. The customer experience is going to be vital, but if they know what to expect, won't that make the experience better?
Hey Drew, isn't it a good idea to set that expectation with the other realtor also?
Sure. Absolutely.
Why is there another realtor?
If you're working with another agent on the other side of the transaction at the beginning of that relationship, why not?
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. Hey, so we're gonna be George. I look forward to working with you on this transaction. Glad you could make the appointment. Thanks. And so, hey, as we enter this relationship, I just wanted to set the expectation of what you could expect from me. If ever you need anything, feel free to reach out. By the way, if I'm with another appointment, I'm not going to be able to take the call, but you can expect to hear from me within 3-4 hours. Is that a deal?
Sounds good.
All right, and I would expect the same as when I call you. I'm going to expect that I'm going to hear back from you in a few hours. That be okay?
Yep.
Yeah, sure. Why not? No harm, no foul. Now, if you're in the Antelope Valley, you're going to get some resistance on that. You guys don't play nice in the sandbox with each other. Just, it's a well-known fact. But that doesn't mean that it has to change your attitude and your behavior. Right? So Keller Williams Antelope Valley can show up in a much better way than the rest of the world does, yes?
Yeah.
We can lead the effort like we do in most things. We can lead that effort, and we can still be kind and professional and set expectations. If you're in the Ridgecrest Area Association of Realtors, you can do that and you'll probably get great cooperation. In fact, you'll probably build better relationships, Scott. They'll begin to respect you. Creating urgency with buyers. So are you seeing buyer reluctance? When's the right time to buy? We sort of talked about this. Always. Right now, there is an exception. If I have a buyer that comes to me who's an investor and says, hey, Drew, I want to invest, I want to do some flips. Okay, is today's market the absolute great time to do flips? No. I mean, strategically, if you know what you're doing.
Why not?
Makes
There's
sense.
some up there.
If strategically, if you know what you're doing. But if I have somebody who's not used to flipping homes, and they come to me, and they're like, I want to flip homes, this is probably not the market we want to begin dabbling. Right, it's volatile. We don't know what's happening.
But as a
And we don't know how
CPA,
long it's gonna take you to get the thing fixed up. Now, if you do this regularly and you've got a system, well, that's a little different. We might be able to find you something. Right, are you with me?
There's tragedy in there.
Right. But if it's for your family home, it's always a good time to buy. Because real estate goes up over time. It's a long-term investment. If it's a 5-year or longer investment, the answer is yes, buy. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Here's an example of that. I have a colleague of mine, the assistant team leader for the Keller Williams Coeur d'Alene. She bought her house in she bought her house when interest rates were at 18%.
Wow.
Okay? So in the 80s. So she bought her house at 18% interest, okay? For $175,000, by the way, in the best neighborhood in Coeur d'Alene. 175 grand, 18% interest. She refied it over a couple of years, right over as interest rates dropped. Today that house is worth almost $1 million. Was it worth it for her to buy it?
Absolutely.
Did she overcome that 18% interest rate?
Many times over.
These are the things that we are going to be describing to our buyers to move them off of the fence. Right? You want to be a part of the solution, and you can be a part of the solution by being an expert in the market and listening to your buyers. Pay attention to what they're telling you. Match needs and wants. And as you hear what their fears are, remember what's our number one thing? To take people from where they are
Through their fears and
through their own fears and objections. So we're listening for the fears and the objections so that we can help them
Overcome them
and be okay with it. Or not. Or not. Yes, ma'am.
What do you personally say to a buyer when because I've ran across this multiple times, where they will tell me, well, right now isn't a good time to buy, or I want to get a house for cheaper next year.
I use the language of sales and I start off with questions, right? So the first question would be, what causes you to say that? Well, look around, Drew, the market. Oh yeah, what about the market? Tell me more. What do you know that I don't know? I ask questions. I want them to tell me, because most of this stuff is driven by external sources that do not have their best interest at heart. Right? So I want to find out if it's actually not a good time for you to buy. So I'm asking you these questions because I want to know if it's really a good time for you or not. Is this a home for your family, or is this an investment? Well, it's both. Okay, so you're going to buy a home for your family to live in. Is that what I heard you say? Yes. All right, how long do you plan on being in the property? Well, I don't know. I mean, for the foreseeable future. Are you planning on selling in the next 2 to 3 years? Well, no. Okay. So what we've discovered is that if you look back in the history of real estate for the last 60, even up to 75 years, the real estate goes up in the long term. So even those that bought in a market where it might have been kind of weird, it works itself out over time. But let's say you didn't buy today, Mr. Buyer. What's it look like 5 years from now if you wait for the market to settle down? How much equity are you willing to give up?
How much are you willing to pay more in interest rates?
How much are you willing to pay? We're expecting, so right now, you've got another great thing you could say, because we're expected to have 7 more bumps in rates by the end of the year. So right now is, how much more are you willing to pay an interest rate to wait and see what the market does?
And are you paying rent?
You're already paying rent.
Because if you didn't buy yesterday, today's the best day to buy.
Yesterday was.
If you didn't buy yesterday, today's the best day to
Right?
buy.
You're already paying rent, you're already putting money toward
Somebody else.
somebody else's equity. Why not put it toward your own and get some tax relief? There are a lot of reasons, yeah? Make sense?
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns on creating buyer urgency? By the way, when you have your buyer initial consultation, your expectations meeting with your buyers, that's a great time to begin to review some of that information. Right? So, because as they begin, we're gonna talk about bulletproofing your transaction right now, and that's a great segue into, the more that you can set your buyers up for success, the more likely it is that you're gonna bring them to a successful close. By sharing with them all the things that might go wrong, or all the, you're gonna overcome those objections in the beginning. Did you have a question?
Just asking for something. Is there any way I could get the copy of the scripts right there? Because I have to.
Oh, you're leaving.
Yeah.
You're leaving. Everybody chastise her for leaving early.
She's gonna go lead
I have to
generate.
pick up my son.
Oh, okay. God, family, then business.
Thank
All right. So what's the issue? Right? The issue is that owners feel like they're selling for too low and buyers feel like they're paying too much. And so we've got to manage this throughout the entire transaction. And the beginning of that comes at the expectations conversations that you're having up front with these folks. We've talked a lot about the seller's piece, but what about the buyer's side? Right? So buyer, here's the thing, man. Interest rates are going up. We want to make sure we lock you in. The lender cannot lock your rate in until we select a home. So we better go shopping. We better go shopping before that 4.675 with a point ends up being 5. Because by the way, we could all wake up in the morning and they could be at 5, by the way, easily. So let's not waste your hard-earned money. Let's find one. And then we're gonna have an inspection. Now, here's the deal. I wanna share. The thing you wanna do is you wanna identify the most common problems that are gonna happen in a real estate transaction. And you wanna overcome those objections in the beginning. Right? So, home inspections. What would it look like if you gave a copy of a home inspection to the potential buyer? Ahead of time. A couple of them. Pick one that looks really bad. Okay, not that bad, but somewhat bad, right? Just like reading the Bible, look for the words in red. Right? Look for the words in red so that when you get your home inspection, you sort of know what to expect. Because here's the deal, Mr. Buyer. As interest rates are going up, if this deal doesn't work, and we have to go back to the drawing board and go shopping again, what's that mean for our interest rate and the cost of doing business? So if we cancel this deal over $2,000 worth of repairs, how much more in interest are you really paying on the same caliber of home that, oh, by the way, probably has the same repairs anyway? So the more of these conversations that you're having up front, you're avoiding the problems when the inspection comes in. Now they know what to expect to see. The inspection report comes in, and they're like, yeah, Becky told me this is what I would see. In fact, you'll get the call. Yeah, it's pretty much what you already said. And then you see glaring things. Right? Because now their expectation is not it's going to be perfect. Because isn't that really what their expectation is going in? That it's going to be just perfect? And then when they get a report back that has a couple of, matter of fact, we've had some fantastic home inspections. Like, our home inspector will tell us, man, this is the best inspection I've ever seen. And we've actually had buyers go, I'm a little concerned. And we're like, I want to wring your neck. Right? This is great.
There's one outlet.
But now you're playing Monday morning quarterback with them. Is this making sense?
Yeah.
Communication is key. When should you be contacting your sellers?
Every week.
Twice a week.
Monday and Friday.
Twice a week.
When you say
Monday and Friday. What are you talking about on Monday and Friday?
How many showings over the weekend? What to expect for the next weekend? An open house.
Yeah, Brandon's been through this before. So Monday, you're reviewing the notes of the weekend. You're catching them up on the market. And you're beginning to have that conversation that leads them to a price reduction. Right? Remember, your job description, lead gen, taking a listing, writing a buyer contract, getting a price reduction, and then closing the escrow. Because if you don't get the price reduction, you're not going to close the escrow. This is not 2021 anymore. As the year continues on, things are going to sit on the market even longer. And those conversations with your sellers are going to become even more important and critical to your success with them. So twice a week. Friday, you're catching up for the week and getting ready to tell them what to expect for the weekend. Yeah? When do you talk to your buyers?
Every day.
Monday and Friday.
Every day. Right? If the day ends in Y, you're talking to your buyer. Yeah?
yes.
How many days end in Y?
6.
6 days end in Y. Why is it important to talk to your buyer every single day?
Because they can get some information in their head or get unmotivated or scared.
Is there a lot of information out there in the world for them to obtain? Can they go sideways on you fast? Some of you are wondering why your buyers ghost you. It's because they see the information from someone else. They've talked to another realtor by accident. That's the famous line, right? And then, oh, one thing led to another, and I slipped on a banana peel and bought a house. Sorry. I know you spent 4 months with me. Right? Like, come on. It's because as the realtor, I didn't do my job in staying in touch with them every single day. They know that I'm leading them when I do that. My hands are firmly planted on the steering wheel when I'm reaching out to them every single day. Right? When I'm saying nothing new hit the market today, or check out these two. Let me know if you want to do a drive-by. Let me know if you want to see them. They know that I'm leading them through it. Yes?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
If you got it, say aye.
Aye.
We kind of talked about this. Provide them with a sample home inspection report. Educate, educate, educate. How can you educate? Where do you get the information?
Classes.
KW Connect.
Coming to the classes.
I mean, yes, that's correct. Everywhere. But you also should be studying your market. And where do you study your market?
The MLS.
In the multiple listing service. Who would have thunked? Right? The MLS is going to give you everything you need to know so you can pass that information on to your consumers. Yeah?
Yeah.
And then you should be keeping, especially as this year continues, guys, you need to be putting your foot on the gas pedal in your education. Attend the team meeting. Attend the shift classes that are going to continue to come to you. Right? I'm going to come back in a few months and we'll do the other 6 tactics. But get the book and read the whole book in its entirety. It's very good and will prep you for what's to come. Yes?
Yes.
Questions, comments, concerns, ahas?
What's
Yes,
the
ma'am.
book called?
Say it again.
What's the book called?
I can't
The
hear.
shift. What's the book called?
Shift. Shift. We're in a shift.
Oh, yeah.
Shift.
me.
We probably have some in the market center.
They also have it on audiobooks
They also have it on audio.
on your iPad. Talk to Victoria or
I think
Mike.
there's a spot where you can actually borrow a copy of it from the office, like the library
So
checkout.
right there in that library.
Right there in that locked cabinet.
So it's
Right, so there's no excuses, right? Scott's holding it, or Beth was holding it up. I thought that was Scott. Beth was holding it up on the screen for the folks on Zoom. There it is, shift. That's what it looks like. So get a copy of the book. You can borrow one from the library. You can go on Amazon and get it on audiobooks. Yeah? Yes. Are you gonna do it?
Yes.
How will we know if you did it?
Accountability part.
By the results and your accountability partner. Exactly. Exactly.
I'll stick down.
Where'd you get this?
From the library, you gotta check it out. You guys gotta talk to staff before you guys get the books from the cabinet.
All right, I'm gonna give one away. I'm gonna give this away. All right? So,
Who can do more burpees?
huh?
Who can do the highest burpees?
Rock, paper, scissors, right now, let's go.
Who can show me that you have written down and identified your four methods of lead generation and the system in which you will, and the system, we've got one.
This is for a book.
I've got it. I wrote it down now.
And the system.
Okay, so I'm gonna go door knocking Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I'm going to do 3 open houses a month, and I'm gonna try cold calling. Tuesday.
You're gonna
and
try
Thursday.
cold calling?
I'm gonna cold call. Tuesdays and Thursdays.
I didn't hear anything about sphere of influence.
That was 3.
I only have 10 contacts.
Yeah, well, and that's only 3. I need 4. Do you have 4?
Yeah. I'm gonna use my sphere of influence for open houses a month, farm, SBOs.
Okay.
And my accountability partner's gonna be you.
Okay, and what method do you have that you're gonna use to accomplish all of that? Do you have a plan set out for how you're gonna accomplish those 4 things? When are you gonna start?
Today.
Yesterday.
Today. Those are the right words, yeah? Okay, should we give her the book?
Yes.
Do we vote to give her the book? Say aye. Aye. All right, congratulations. You're welcome. All right. Thanks all. Make it a great day. Good night. Tonight at 6 o'clock. If you know of anybody looking to start a career in real estate, come to the Hilton. Oh, and the script book. If you want the script book, I've got them up front. If you're in Zoom land, email Armando at the front desk and he'll send you a copy of the script book if you want it. Thank you.
Just said, I buy her house. Why are you gonna teach me to do? There's George.
All right.
Apparently I'm invisible.
Hi, Scott.
Where you been?
You were invisible.
Right here, I'm invisible.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you can see me?
He blends into the hood.
Bro! I had the jacuzzi on all month. Hey, stop talking about that on loud.
Oh, okay.
So when are you going back?
Tomorrow.
Oh, wow.